Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, our facilitator for the day, Ms. Wandia Maina. She is a psychologist with over 12 years experience, and she will also be assisting us to deal with post-election reflections after the elections. So for now, Ms. Wandia Maina, please welcome. Welcome. Thank you for attending. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
She also currently serves as the co-clinical director at Intrapersonal Services. So participants, feel free to ask questions, feel free to engage with her. She will be able to assist us for the session. We're going to be on for the next 1 hour. So Ms. Wandia, kindly proceed.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to everybody who has had an opportunity to log in. Without further ado, what I shall do is that I shall project my presentation. So the first thing that I will want us to look at, considering we're looking at mental health, is to understand what mental health is. You know, you can't be able to move forward without a clear definition. And the World Health Organization defines mental health as a state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life, to realize their abilities, to learn well, work well, and contribute to their community. We've all just gone through this very intense season of electioneering. And for the participants who have actually had the opportunity to log in, they were seeking elective posts. So of course, their journey has been that much more intense. And now we are dealing with the after effects of what we have just gone through. And we need to understand where are we currently as people. So we look at what are the indicators of poor mental health, because someone will just say, you know what, I think I'm not in a very good state mentally. But how then are you able to identify that? The first key thing, and right at the top of the list, is sleep disturbance. And what do we mean when we say sleep disturbance? This is when you are unable to go to bed and sustain sleep or fall asleep. You fall asleep, but you find you're waking up in the middle of the night, or you're sleeping too much. Sleeping too much as well is also not a very good sign. So if you find that what was normal to you before is not currently what is going on, then we say that there is sleep disturbance and there could be something that's going on. The other one is weight fluctuations. And in this, you may find that you're either gaining weight or you're losing weight without you trying to either lose or add the weight. So when your weight is fluctuating without your direct attempt to try and manage it, then we also say that could be an indicator of something is going on. Another key indicator is withdrawal from people and activities that you previously enjoyed. So if you're somebody who used to like going for chamas, or maybe going to the gym, going for hiking, and all of a sudden you just want to spend time alone. When you go to the office, you just want to shut your door. When your kids come around you, you don't want to interact with them. What is it that is actually going on? Would say that is an indicator, one of the indicators of poor mental health. Another one is persistent sadness. You go to bed, wake up in the morning, you're sad. Throughout the day, you're sad. No matter what it is that you try and do, you're just not able to lift that cloud that has settled over you. This persistent sadness may be an indicator that something could be going on. Another one is relationship conflicts. In the office, at home, you know, from the beginning of the day, you're always just having conflicts with people. The children are irritating you. Your spouse is irritating you. The house help can't get anything right. As you're driving on the road, you're saying, what's wrong with Kenyans? How do they drive nowadays? Could be going on there? You get to the office, same thing. But the reality of the matter is that we are the common denominator. So if every area of my life, all the relationships are not working, then we need to stop and ask, what is it that is actually going on? So relationship conflicts is another key indicator. Another one is subscribing to unhealthy coping strategies or mechanisms. And the common ones that people use is sex, drugs, alcohol, and gambling. And why we call them unhealthy coping strategies is because we're using these activities to numb the pain or to dull the effect of what we have just gone through. We don't want to think about it so much. So we use this as an escape route. And if you're finding that you're using this as an escape route, then there could be something that's going on. Another one is physical ailments. You've got a headache that you just cannot be able to shake off. From the time you wake up in the morning, your head is paining. You try and take water, you try and take medication, your head is paining. Your back, you can't be able to shift that pain from your back. Another common one is what is it called, stomach disturbances. You find that you're complaining consistently of acidity. You're saying that you have got, you're not able to keep anything in. And there's nothing that can point to that from a physiological perspective. Then would say maybe there's something actually going on with you. So those are some of the key indicators of poor mental health. They are not the only ones, but they are the ones that are most common. So if you're feeling that you've been experiencing this for a period of, since the elections or even before that, maybe there's something that's actually going on. Another thing that people may say is that they're experiencing depression. I think I'm depressed. But, depression is not just something that is transient, that you'd say I'm experiencing it for a few hours. I was depressed today, but then tomorrow I'm okay. No. You have to be experiencing any of these symptoms for a minimum of 3 weeks continuously. Loss of appetite, you can't be able to eat. Loss of interest in activities. Suicidal ideation, you want to kill yourself. You feel like there's nothing left to life. The sleep disturbance, you have no energy. You cannot be able to master any strength to do activities. Feelings of worthlessness, hopelessness, uselessness. What more is there to life? Life doesn't make sense. I did not make it. I didn't succeed in the electioneering season. What more is there left to life? I've used all my resources. Life just doesn't make sense anymore. You're not able to think clearly or to reason out. Psychomotor retardation or agitation, not able to move around. You're just feeling excessively lethargic, or you're hyperactive as well. So these are the key symptoms of depression, but you have to have been experiencing for them for a minimum of 2 weeks continuously without a break. Then we'll be able to say you possibly could be suffering from depression. One other thing that I want to pick out is anxiety, and this is based on the things that were also raised. And this is excessive worry for at least 6 months. It is debilitating. It prevents you from discharging your duties as a mother, discharging your duties as a wife, as a sister. You are unable to function. Anytime you imagine yourself doing something, you just start experiencing fear, and you can't pinpoint where that fear is coming from. But it must have been existing for at least 6 months. The reason why I've given these definitions of anxiety and depression is for you to understand, where am I currently at? You have gone through a very intense period, and because you did not succeed, you will be going through a bit of loss, a bit of grief, which is normal and is natural for people to grieve when they have gone through such a tremendous and significant loss. That is normal and it's okay. However, if it goes on for an extended period of time, then that's where we need to look for assistance to be able to help us to transition and to move forward. As I've said, inability to discharge your normal duties and the excessive worry for a period of time. So then we ask ourselves, how do we want to start moving forward? So moving forward, how do we start moving forward? That's the thing everybody's asking. How do you start moving forward when I've gone through such tremendous loss? The first thing is we need to understand our ability to move forward is based on our ability to adjust and to build resilience, to adjust to the situation as it is. One thing that I have learned in life is that one of the things which is very constant is change. So change is always there. And we need to be able to adapt and to build resilience so that we are not overwhelmed when we go through traumatic events or when we go through significant losses. And how do we build resilience? Because that's a word which can be thrown around there, but then how do people actually go about building resilience? What influences our ability to adjust and build resilience? One is personality. Some personalities are actually able to move on faster than others. Some people are just like, okay, this is what happened. It's fine. Let me just move on and look for the next thing. Other personalities will be beaten down and will not be able to even start moving. They will want to totally hide from the world. And until they are physically assisted to move forward, they actually get stuck. So it's a personality thing as well. Some personalities just are able to adjust. And I'm sure someone is going to ask me, what kind of personality is that is able to adjust? One of those ones are those very extroverted people, because they talk a lot, and talking helps you process and to deal. And if you find that you've got a good circle of friends, and you're extroverted, you'll just go there and talk and just say how, you're disappointed about the outcome of the elections. You'll get some feedback from people and you'll keep moving on. Those who find it challenging moving forward are the introverted people who do not want to speak. They just want to think about things on their own. They want to sit in their corners. They are, to a large extent, more likely to suffer from a depressive episode simply because of their personality. So it's also important for you to know, what kind of person am I? The next thing is on life experiences. And what do I mean by life experiences? There are certain people who, from a very young age, went through maybe adverse conditions. Maybe they maybe there was death very early on when they were young. Or you'd find that they grew up also in very challenging conditions. Things were not smooth. So they have learned, based on their life experiences, that life is not easy. And therefore, then they have built resilience. They have built resilience because of the life experiences. On the flip side, somebody who has had a very rosy upbringing, everything was provided for, everything was catered for, family is okay, you've never experienced death, you've never experienced loss, work has been okay, you've been climbing up the ladder, things are good. They are hardest hit when they experience a loss because they have never experienced it, and this absolutely shocks them. So we say children who have gone through difficult experiences as they're growing up are more likely to be able to build resilience and to handle the challenges that life throws at them. And that's why we also encourage parents to not really coddle children. Allow children to see and experience the reality of what life is, because life is not purely just smooth. One of the things, the support system. Who is in your corner? Are the people who are in your corner those who are able to stand by you through thick and thin? Or are they people who take off at the first sign of trouble? If you have people who are just there for the good times, then you will not be able to go through the difficult times because you'll find yourself alone. But if you have true and real friends who will stand by you through thick and thin, they'll enter the mud with you, they'll come out with you, but they'll always stand in your corner, then you're more likely to be able to handle challenges that much easier. So personality, life experiences, and support system are very integral to how you manage loss and how we adapt to change and building resilience. So we look at the resilience a bit deeper. And this is what resilience actually is. It's the ability to cope with a loss, a change, or trauma without causing or experiencing undue or destabilizing distress, meaning that you are able to bounce back from the challenges, the losses, the traumas that we experience without feeling incapacitated. That is what resilience is. How do you go about doing this? The first thing is that you have to accept your feelings. And what do you mean by accepting your feelings? It's actually seeing your feelings for what they are and saying it's okay. I am okay that this is where I'm at. Whether I'm feeling very sad, whether I'm feeling very disappointed, whether I'm feeling shocked, how did this happen? I thought I was on the ground. I thought the people who are around me told me I had a fighting chance. How is this my reality right now? It's okay to be shocked. Look at the shock for what it is and accept it. And then, of course, as you're going through the stages of accepting, you'll find there's denial. Was there foul play? Maybe people actually stole my votes. What could have happened? No, this thing could have happened. Or maybe I need to actually go to the courts because I believe this was stolen from me. This win was actually mine. And it's okay to feel whatever it is that you're feeling because you're going through the process of acceptance. You cannot just reach acceptance without going through these stages. And at the same stages that people go through for loss and grief. And this is exactly what we are experiencing. We have gone through a significant loss. So we're grieving for it. There's frustration for these people. I was there when they needed me. I was giving of my resources. I was fundraising. Anytime there was a harambe, I would give. What happened, surely? Were people just cheating me? Were they lying to me? What happened? I can't trust these people anymore. There's so much frustration. So who then do I trust, All these feelings, you are feeling them as you're moving along. And it's okay for you to be able to get through and move on. You have to allow and accept all these feelings for what they are. There's no bad feeling. They are all just part of the grieving process. Depression. So what's the point anyway? I quit my job, I took a loan, I have given off, I have to pay loans, and I didn't make it. My family has been affected by this. So what's the point? What's the use of actually moving on? Is there any point to life, really? It's part of the process. You have to ask yourself those questions. And as you allow yourself to be in that space, then you have to look for meaning to be able to start moving on. And we ask our clients, and I'm challenging you to do this. Look at what were you doing before you actually got into this space? What are the things that you used to do? Because there was something that you were doing. From the family perspective, from the socioeconomic perspective, what are the things that I was doing before? And then you decide and you accept that this is my reality. And people still need me. My family still needs me. My children, if I am a mother, still need me. My husband, if I am a wife, still need me. And I'm going to move on. Why is it important? Why have I taken you through these steps? Is so that you can be able to see that wherever you are on this continuum, it is normal and it is okay to experience them. And though I have outlined them in a very linear way, they don't happen that way. Sometimes you find you're moving from shock, and the next time you just say, you know what, I'm moving on. I've decided to move on. So you've jumped all these steps, and it's also okay. Everybody's journey through the loss and grief is unique as we are as individuals. So you decide and you start moving on. And we also have to pick lessons. We also have to pick what have we learned through this process. There's this saying that people say in Kenya quite a bit that, you know what, hey, there was some serious character development. And we say it in jest. But I would encourage you to actually unpack, what does this character development mean? What have I learned about myself through this whole process? Have I been able to learn who my friends are? Have I been able to learn my ability to communicate effectively? What have I learned through this process? And do I still want to go back and give of myself? And if I decide that I want to do, what have I learned through this process that I will change the next time around? So this, I will not necessarily go through it, but this is what it looks like. And that's why I said it's not linear. You move from shock. How did this happen? You're in denial. There's frustration. There's depression. This is actually what it looks like. It's not linear, but it moves from one way to the other. But as you accept and you allow yourself to sit in every emotion, then you are able to process and move forward. You accept your feelings. The next one is accepting the situation, the outcome, or the circumstances. What was the problem? How did I not make it through? Identify what it is. What are the possible solutions? I've taken loans. I have to pay loans. There's no money coming in. I quit my job. That is a problem. My marriage broke down because I went through this. My children don't want to speak to me anymore. Pick one problem and see what are the possible solutions. If we're talking about the money component, it would be good to sit with somebody who can help you figure it out. Or if you're able to do it on your own, that's also okay. You could decide to, is it possible to consolidate all my loans into one? So I'm just paying off one. If not, which one is most pressing? If you have taken loans from loan sharks, we know they can be very ruthless. So those ones have to be dealt with as soon as possible. What are the possible solutions? Do I borrow more money? What should I be able to do? You know, then evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of each and every possible solution that you have, potential solution that you have. If he's taking another loan, what are the strengths and the weaknesses? Consolidating the loans, what are the strengths and weaknesses? So look at them and then choose the one which is best fit to you. And then you have to implement it. This is a process that can help you look at the specific problems that you're currently dealing with a step at a time. Only you are able to identify the most pressing challenge that you're currently going through. what Wandia is going through versus what somebody else is going through are very different. I could say that for me, my biggest priority right now is my children. Priority right now is their marriage. Somebody else will say it is the financial problems. So it's up to you to determine which one is the most pressing and work on it. If you're not able to do this on your own, it is good to look for a friend or a psychologist who can help you process and work through this and to come up with the solutions that are unique and that would work for you as a person. Remember, it's all about you. It's not about me as a therapist, but it's about you. What resources do you have at your disposal that can help you as you navigate? Focus on the things that are under your control. Remember, the first thing is that you're focusing on our feelings, identify the problem. Now you focus on the things that are under your control. Not everything is under your control. There are some which really, definitely are out of your control. The things within your control are what you focus on. Your resources, your family, the things that you used to do in the past, those are things that you can be able to focus on. You cannot go to the ground and start dealing with the people who did not vote for you one by one. I mean, those are really not under your control because they'll possibly not even tell you the truth. So focus on those things that are under your control. And in that, it starts giving you a sense of meaning. It starts giving you a sense of, you know what, all is not lost. I am moving forward. I am making progress. Focus on the things which are under your control. Another thing which is very, very important is to stay connected. Stay connected. Human beings are created to be in relationship. I say this all the time. You were created to be in relationship with each other. If we're not meant to be in relationship with one another, we would not be living in the same ecosystem. We would all be on different planets. What does that therefore mean? That you need your family, you need your friends, you need your chamas, you need your church, you need all these people. Stay connected. It's just putting yourself in those spaces. It could be difficult. And so you look at what are the easiest places to start. Is it from my family? So I'm just spending a bit of time with them. Is it with my chama? Is it with my mom? Is it with my sister? Is it with my... Stay connected to people. You need to connect with people. Another one is practice self-care. I'm also a big proponent of self-care, which means doing things that fill your cup. And it's as simple as I tell people that if you're consistent with drinking water or you're not consistent with drinking water, you'd be surprised at the ailments that you'd suffer from just because you're not drinking water. So I say start drinking water, start taking walks, start reading, start listening to good music. What are the things that energize you, that make you feel good? Start doing them. Take care of yourself. You've been through a very difficult season. It's time for you to take care of yourself. The other one is to identify your triggers and minimize your exposure to them. I think one of the biggest triggers for many people would be social media, especially during this season. So rather than just scrolling through Twitter, scrolling through Facebook, putting on the TV, and then it's leaving you feeling a certain type of way, just disengage from it for a period of time. Go through a detox period from social media. Say, I'm not going to do any social media for this season. Let me allow myself to heal before I get back there. Identify your triggers and minimize your exposure to them. I've given one example as social media. Another could actually be there. There could be friends or family members who you just see and you just start feeling anxious. Stay away from them. And the reason you could be feeling anxious is because possibly they're going to ask you difficult questions. They're not supportive of, what you've just gone through. Identify your triggers and minimize your exposure to them. Very important. Look for meaning and purpose again. The thing that tends to overwhelm people is you focus on your circumstances, that you even forget that there are other people out there who are also going through challenging situations. And I say the quickest way to give yourself perspective, especially now, one thing I've noticed as I'm moving around Nairobi is that there are more people on the streets, sleeping on the roads, unlike there was before, meaning that the state of the economy is having a direct impact on people. So when you see somebody who doesn't have a roof over their head, it actually gives you a pause to appreciate where you currently are at. So look around you and see, where can I make a difference? I can see that person there with a small child, they're sleeping on the grass. Maybe I can just share, a bit of the food that I have in the house with them, And finally, it's very easy for us to blame external events for our unhappiness. I lost elections. Those lost elections. However, it is our interpretation of these events that truly lies at the heart of our psychological distress. What do I make of the fact that I did not succeed in the past elections? It's what I'm telling myself. If I'm telling myself that I am a failure, that I am not loved, then of course I will experience intense psychological distress. On the flip side, if I look at it and say that, you know what, I've actually learned that you just take human beings the way they are. Just take them the way they are. Don't believe everything that they say. Maybe don't put all my resources into one place. And the fact that I didn't succeed in this election does not mean that I am a failure totally. It doesn't even mean that I'm a failure at all. Look for meaning in life. So remember that while we may blame external events for unhappiness, it's actually not the events. What is within our control is how we interpret those events. Remember that you have the power. You have the power of deciding how it is that you want to feel. If you wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to be miserable, believe me, you will find evidence the whole day supporting that desire to be miserable. But if you wake up and say today is going to be an amazing day, you will then, of course, have evidence that supports that as well. So remember, focus on the things that you can control, which are within your control, and stay connected to those people who are your loved ones and the people who are in your corner. And with that, I will pause there and ask if there are any questions. I have rushed through because of time, but I hope that you have been able to at least get some stuff from that. So back over to you.
Thank you so much, Wandia, for that wonderful session. There is a question asking, for those who have friends who are unwilling to seek help or acknowledge their mental well-being, what are some of the daily practices you would encourage them to engage in to deal with anxiety or depression?
Okay, so the person has got a friend who's unwilling to seek help. Is that the question?
Yes.
So I guess the best thing would be to just be present for them as a friend, because they trust you, and just be present for them, encourage them, and just invite them out to any events that you might have. So what we're trying to do is to ensure that they remain connected, even as they're feeling very isolated. So just keep encouraging them to come out, and just encourage them that this is not the end. So just keep encouraging them until the point where you see that they're ready to look for professional help. But in the meantime, just be a friend, just be present. And sometimes you say that being present doesn't mean going there with solutions. No, it's actually even just going to sit with somebody, having a cup of tea. Don't think that you need to give anybody a solution. Just be present with them. That in itself would be effective.
And is there a difference between a disorder and an illness when it comes to mental health?
Of course, definitely there's a difference between disorders and illnesses. And this is why we say that when we are seeing clients, we do a very thorough assessment to be able to determine if there's a disorder going on, a clinical disorder which may need further psychiatric intervention, or it's something which is transient based on their current life experiences, which then is manifesting as an illness. And I think I said that in the beginning, or maybe I didn't. But we also work with other health practitioners, like doctors. And why do you do this? Because sometimes people go to see doctors and they say, you know what, I keep having irritable bowel syndromes, I keep having headaches, and they're not going away. So doctors will do thorough investigation. But when they find that there's nothing physiological going on with you, then they will send you to a psychologist, because then that means that you're somatizing that what it is that is in your mind is actually making your body unwell. So there's a clear difference. But whoever it is that is going through anything just needs to see a professional to be able to distinguish what is going on.
Okay, another question. When you're dealing with depression and you've already started using bad coping habits, is there a way you can wean yourself off from such habits?
Yes, I mean, the first thing is in accepting the fact that I am using unhealthy coping strategies. The first step is acceptance. Once you accept that I'm using an unhealthy coping strategy, then the thing is, what do I want to do to get out of this? And we also always say that do not go cold turkey. Not many people are able to go cold turkey, but you could say progressively, I want to start moving on. Maybe let's say you're using food as a coping mechanism. So you say, you know what, I will try and minimize and manage myself, that I'm only going to eat the set meals that I have. breakfast, lunch, dinner, and I will not have any snacks in between. Just for today, I'll just try for today. If I'm able to do today, tomorrow I'll skip. I'll try again on the third day. The next day I skip. And with these small incremental steps, that you'll be able to move forward. But remember, not everybody is the same. Some people are able to do this. Other people are not. Other people need an accountability partner, somebody you can call and say, hey, this is what I'm feeling. What do you think I should be able to do? So it's possible. But the first step is in acceptance that there's actually a problem.
Okay, thank you so much. For our participants, if you do have questions, feel free to raise your hand and you can be able to directly ask the facilitator. And also, as you're waiting for them to ask questions, there's also another question. Someone asked, is there a timeline for depression and anxiety? Is that timeline for you to deal with it and it ends after maybe 2 months or 3 months? Or it depends with each person?
Correct. You've answered the question before I've given input. And the thing is, human beings are just all so different. So it would not be fair for me to say that it will take you 2 months or 1 week. People are very different. And again, remember what I talked about, that I said it depends on a couple of things. One, your personality. 2, your support system and your life experiences. So for those people whose personality is one that is able to process and move on, versus one who is not able to, or maybe don't have a support system, you don't have friends, those people are bound to struggle more. But if you have got a strong support system, you went through adversity as you are growing up, then your chances of moving on faster are higher than somebody who is dealing with a loss as a first time right now.
There is a participant with a raised hand. Kindly proceed. Sifa, kindly proceed.
Oh, hello, hi.
Hi, Sifa.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I'm very fine. I just wanted to ask, I've been seeing a lot of information about meditation as a way to deal with anxiety and depression, but there's so many people who give so many different views, and I also ask some of my friends, and they also don't have a very clear way of telling me about what it's all about. But I would really want to engage in it in case it's something that will be beneficial. But I'd like to ask, would you advise that as a way of dealing with it, or what will be your thoughts about it?
Thank you for that question. I think my response would be this. There are very many ways and methods that have been put out there in terms of how we can manage some of the things that we're going through. And I would never rubbish any of them. So if you've seen meditation is something that you'd like to do, I would encourage you to go through it. But what you then do is see where you currently are at your point of starting, and then gauge yourself as you move through the meditative process. And then remember, it's not a quick fix method. I think you have to practice it for a period of time, just like therapy. Highly unlikely you're going to get what you're looking for in one session. So I would encourage you to read more about the particular meditative techniques that you'd like to go through, start implementing them and see how you respond to it. If after 2 weeks there's no change, then maybe you want to also start looking at something else to support that process as well.
Thank you, Sifa, for that question. Taslin Otieno, kindly proceed. Taslin?
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so my question is, I am the queen of anxiety. I have had it like since I was a little girl, but I got to know how to manage it and everything. But since I lost, it has like come back, and I don't know what to do about it. And I don't even think right now that I can even address a group of people. So how do I heal from it? Because I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Taslin. But first of all, I'll encourage you not to refer to yourself as the queen of anxiety. Yeah? That's not a tag that you want to own. This particular loss that you have gone through has been quite destabilizing. So it's okay to feel overwhelmed that you're feeling overwhelmed. And remember, if the process that I took you through. So just first of all, look at where you currently are and accept the disappointment that you're currently experiencing. Connect with people. That's the next thing. Connect with people. Don't focus too much on the next step. Just start grounding yourself and being kind to yourself. Why am I trying to do these things first and foremost? It's because I'm putting away the pressure of dealing with the anxiety. Because the more you try and fix that anxiety using the techniques that I used, the more you'll find that it's not working. So let's just first put that aside and say, let me just be good to myself. I put so much of my resources, my emotional resources, my physical resources, my financial resources into this process. Right now, I just want to sit back and just be. I just want to sit back and just be and allow myself to mourn, to calm down. Now, after you've done that for a period of time, which I would say it could be anything from 5 to 7 days, then start reflecting on what you used to do in the past. More so because you've said you've had experience of anxiety. How did you use to help yourself process the anxious situations that you used to go through? Try and pick out any of those techniques that you used to use and apply them here. If you are not successful this time around, I would strongly urge and encourage you to seek professional help so that we can help you unpack what it is that could be blocking you and to also equip you with new skills to manage your anxiety. That would be my initial response to you. So first of all, just take time to do you. Hang out with the people who give you good energy and just, accept your feelings for what they are. It's okay. And then as you start calming down, look at, what are the things that used to make me anxious from long time ago? What did I used to do? If you're still not able to clearly come up with any way forward, kindly seek professional help. It is there to be provided for you so that you can be able to start moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Taslin. Esther Onana, kindly proceed with your question.
Yes, are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. Once again, my name is Honorable Esther.
Esther?
From Migori County. Yes.
Yeah, you are breaking, but it's okay. Proceed.
Okay, sorry. My name is Honorable Esther Onana. I come from Migori County. Thank you, FIDA, for this debrief. I want to ask, I suffer from, I don't know what it is, but every time I wake up in the morning, this has been from the time I lost nominations in April, and it increased when I lost on 9th of August. Before I wake up in the morning, I always wake up at around 4:30. So around 3:30, I wake up with a dream. I wake up in a dream that I am late for campaigns. People are going. Then now, as I'm about now to wake up, then now I say, what am I going to tell them? I am very tired. Will I ever try? So waking up in that mood, I feel like I'm depressed. I am tired. Then it makes me not to come out of bed in time. I'm like, what is it that I'm not done? And I feel like now that my name is Aluo, I hope, Fida, you're able to hear what I'm saying. What about how do I address people even when I shall be out, maybe from Migori, I'll be even Nairobi? What will I tell others? I feel quite down on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther, for sharing that. And actually, I can feel and hear the pain as you have narrated what it is that you've been going through. I want to encourage you first and foremost by telling you what it is that you're experiencing is actually very normal. And this is just the process of loss and grief. You've gone through a very intense period, and this is not what you're expecting to be the outcome. The reality versus what you expected are very different. And I said that it is important for us to go through the grieving process. How did I get here? What have I lost in my journey to get here? Look at those things. When you wake up in the morning and you're saying you're feeling very overwhelmed, I would encourage you to actually keep a journal. So when you wake up in the morning, just start reflecting on what that journey has looked like to you. How did I get here? And then allow all that pain, hurt, betrayal, anger to come out, because all those emotions are there. And there's nothing wrong with those emotions. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad about it. So write it down and allow yourself to sit with it. And after you do that for a couple of days, then allow yourself to also go back and start thinking, what was actually my motivation to enter this process? Because there's something very unique about people who want to serve other people. And this is what you've chosen to do. What was my motivation around it? And then we focus on that good thing that led you to this point that you need to serve your people. So what am I saying? We start by first accepting that you have gone through a significant and tremendous loss. So in the morning when you wake up, allow yourself to pour that out. And at the end of pouring that out, I would encourage you to write down one thing that you're grateful for from the previous day. One thing, just one thing. So each day you write whatever your dream has been like and one thing to be grateful for. Because the danger in only focusing on that which is not working, it means it can really cloud everything else around us. So yes, let it pour out. Let the anger come out. Let the frustration, let the disappointment come out. And then at the end of it all, look back and say, okay, what is the one thing I'm grateful for yesterday? Or what is the one thing I'm looking forward to for today? Challenge yourself. And it doesn't have to be big. It could be something as simple as, I have a roof over my head. I have food on my table. I have a relationship with my, whoever it is that is in your space. Small, small, small. We are stacking our gratitude up. And that's what we hang on to. You've asked another question there, which I think you've thrown to feed, but I also want to feed into it, is that you said that I'm from a specific tribe. What am I going to tell people out there? My question would be, what is there to tell people out there? I mean, we're all living in Kenya right now. What is there to say? It is what it is. Basically, it is what it is. What is there to say? Things have happened the way they have happened. So you do not have to respond to every question that is thrown to you. You don't have to. You can actually tell people that, no, I'm not going to engage on that right now. And that's okay. Don't feel that you have to give feedback to each and every person who is asking you difficult questions. Just say, no, I'm not responding to that right now. And it's okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wandia, for that. Proceeding on, Caroline Letuya. Kindly proceed with the question. Caroline?
Hello.
Hello? Yes, we can hear you.
Ni Caroline Letuya from Kajiado.
Okay.
I want to thank Kenya for this conversation. Actually, it is not only those who have lost their seat are sick. We are all sick. So I'm requesting if you can have more of this.
Okay.
So that our heart and mind can be healed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Caroline, for that. It's definitely something that we'll put under consideration and we'll be able to engage you further moving on. And do you have any other question or you're good? Okay, so then proceeding to Joy Mudogi. Joy, can you hear us? If Joy is not yet ready, we can proceed to Faith Ann.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I need to appreciate first for this opportunity because whatever we are going through, we can't explain it to anyone. But I really appreciate for the guidance you have been given. But another technique you can use as a candidate is maybe to move away from where you are staying. Give yourself a vacation. Because for me, I gave myself a vacation. I went away for 2 weeks, just away from where I was staying, because anything you see around just reminds you of what happened. You see people as the ones who betrayed you. Your anger is towards them, towards the churches around you. So another thing, maybe for me, after the elections and whatever happened, I had to travel away, give myself a break from everything. Relax before I start again to see where to start from. So that is another thing that we face. But the biggest problem we face as women maybe is that anger, that bitterness, that fear to face people. Because as women, we fear failing so much. So we have that fear to face people, that fear of even meeting those people on the road. What do you tell them? What do you explain to them? That fear of going to the church and hear people talking about you. That fear of going to a marketplace and hear people discussing about you. So we fear much about what others will talk about us or facing people, and as a result of our failure. But I want to appreciate the opportunity, and just to add that it's good to get away from that toxic environment or the environment you feel that is affecting your mind. It's good to get away for some time, give yourself room, change the environment, change your surrounding, meet with the new people, talk to them, and then restore your factoricity. But the biggest problem is maybe for those women who left their jobs, maybe stopped working, those family women, and now things are stuck, you are stranded, you are wondering what next, you have a family, you have kids, and you lost the elections, maybe you used most of your resources in that election. But right now, as far as you are wondering what next, you are still depressed, you don't know where to start from. And it's becoming like you are stuck. Thank you.
Thank you,
so
Faith,
much.
for, sorry. Thank you, Faith, for that. I think it's also very important to also hear from the participants who are here how they're coping. And that's exactly what she has said. And it's in line with what I had also said in terms of identify what your triggers are and try and avoid them. So if it's possible for you to move away from the places that are triggering you, by all means, take a break. Take a break. Over and above that, I must also underscore that you do not have to respond to every question that is thrown at you. Because the same people who are asking you what happened are the same people who ideally should have been voting for you, isn't it? So when they're asking you what happened, I mean, your guess is as good as theirs. So you don't have to respond to every question. And here is the thing. The first time you go out is going to be the most painful and the most difficult time. By the second time you go, it will get easier. Third time you go, shortly people will not be talking about you. And the state of the economy right now means that we're moving on very quickly to other things. I think you've also been able to see that with the change in the fuel prices means that cost of living is going to go up. So yes, it's okay that, I mean, people will speak about you initially, but there are so many other pressing things that they cannot afford to just hang around there talking about you. I say many times is that we imagine people are speaking about us, when actually, in actual sense, they are moving on to other things. So also remind yourself that yes, the very first time they could be people who are talking about you or glancing at you, but the second time they see you, that's it. And remember, the power rests in your hands. When people ask you questions, your response is what you have as your tool. It's what you have in your control. So you can actually tell people that I'm not going to discuss that. Or you can ask them, you tell me what happened. When they ask you what happened, you ask them, you tell me what happened. And it's just that way. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, there's one more from Gabriela. Gabriela Lorere. Feel free to proceed.
My name is Gabriela Lorere from Laikipia North. I have a problem. I can't sleep. I only sleep for 2 hours, and I have constant headache. Plus, nowadays I end up taking Mira a lot. I don't know what's happening to me. Now, I get annoyed easily when dealing with things, talking to people, responding to WhatsApp. I really don't know what's happening. Thank you, Fida.
Okay, thank you, Gabriela. One of the things that I can say right at the top of my mind is that Mira consumption actually does interfere with our sleep patterns. So for me, I can see a very direct correlation. And the other thing is that, yes, you could be using the Mira to be able to help you cope with this particular situation. But the thing is, if you want to move forward, then we have to start looking for other healthy coping mechanisms. And maybe you just need a safe space to be able to have a conversation with somebody who can then be able to hear you out rather than numbing the pain. So the first thing that I'd encourage Gabriela to try and do is to try and reduce on the consumption of the mirror, and to also look for a safe space where she can be able to have a conversation with somebody who can just hear her out and hear her frustration, her disappointment, and be able to allow her to start moving forward. So for you, Gabriela, within this week, if you're able to see if you can be able to minimize or cut down on your mirror, then we look at how your sleeping patterns are going to go, and also look for, I don't know if FIDA has got any support on that side, a place that you can be able to also get some counseling as well, just a safe space where you can go where nobody's going to judge you based on where you're coming from and who you are in the community as well. So that is what I would encourage you to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We also have other questions, comments. There is Juliana. She says, do different people have different healing process? There is also Esther, who is also saying she's wondering because she has almost 18 paragraphs of her journey in politics. I think maybe that's in terms of time. Where should she take it? And she feels withdrawn, and she wanted to give a try in 2027. So maybe you encouraging her, telling her what she should do in terms of her mental wellness in that regard. And then finally, we have Quinta. She says, thanks so much for this session. I've been trying to avoid people, just want to be alone. I appreciate this opportunity because I want to accept the situation and move on, as it is not easy.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's definitely not easy. That is very correct. So I think the first person, I don't know what, I can't remember what was it, Virginia, that was there? What did the first person ask? What was her question?
Liana, whether different people have different healing processes.
Okay, let me respond to that. Yes, I have said that because we are very unique as human beings. So our journeys are going to be very different. So I would encourage you not to compare yourself to somebody else, but then focus on you as a person. What is my journey? Where am I currently? And then focus on moving forward. Don't compare yourself with the people around you. Our experiences are different. Our support systems are different. Our personalities are very different, so we are all very different in how we're going to be able to process. The second person has said that they have got 8 years or 8 something, they've got a lot of experience and they're trying to figure out where do they take all of this, and they thought this is where they were going to be able to give back. And of course there's the frustration or the disappointment that they're not able to get in. So again, it's just looking at what the process has been like. What has the impact been? What was the journey from the point I decided that I want to get into the political race to the point where I found that actually it didn't succeed? What have I learned through this process? And it's okay to feel frustrated and to feel disappointed. It's okay to feel all those things. But you still have these 8 years or that you want to share. Now, as you allow yourself to go through this, take yourself back to the reason why you thought this was going to be the most viable option for you to give back. Now, since you didn't succeed here, what other ways can I give back of my experience? Because there are very many ways in which you can give back to the society and to the communities. Political office and being in the space where we're able to affect the lawmaking is a good place to be, but there are also other ways in which we can develop the next generation. So as you go through this and analyze what your journey was like, now start looking at other ways that you can be able to also give of yourself. So it doesn't mean that this is the end. There are other ways. When one door opens and when one door closes, another one opens. So it's upon you to start seeing how else can I start giving of myself. Was there another one, Virginia, or was that it?
Yeah, that was it. I also wanted to pick your mind. We had a situation where one of the aspirants unfortunately had to deal with sexual violence. And in your experience, do you think when it comes to dealing with sexual violence, there's a different way of coping, or it's still the same in terms of maybe dealing with disorders like depression and anxiety?
Now, for the aspirant who actually had to deal with the sexual violence during this process, when I extend my sincere apologies and towards her, I would strongly encourage that she sees a professional, because that is in a league of its own. And when you say sexual violence, there are so many different components to it. So I would encourage her to seek professional help for somebody to be able to help her process that.
Thank you for that. And I think a question on my part, you discussed about having to deal with things that are in your control. So for those things that are out of your control, how do you manage that? Because sometimes you find this anxiety or depression, it's out of the things that you do not have control over. So in that situation, do you suggest that we still use the same tips, or is there a better way to handle that? Or maybe
The things
acceptance?
yeah, exactly. You know, there are things which are not within your control. Like, I have got no control if it's going to rain today or not. That's not within anybody's control. So what good does it do for me to focus on that thing that I can't control? Whether I sit here and, you know, talk to myself, pray a lot, I don't know if it's going to rain. That's not within my control. Only focus on the things that are within your control, especially when you're going through the healing process. Remember, you're very drained of resources, internal resources. You don't have internal resources right now. So we're trying to build you up again to fill that cup which was pouring out to other people, giving. Right now, you're very empty. When you're empty, you deal with the things which are within your control. That is what gives you a sense of stability. Focusing on the things that you control. If you try and focus on things that you can't control, you'll feel extremely destabilized. So only focus on the things that you can control.
Thank you so much. And is there maybe a final word you'd like to give to the attendees today?
I would encourage the attendees to be aware of where they currently are and know when they need to ask for help. Don't wait until it's too late. Ask for help. Help is there to be given. There are resources out there. There's counseling available. Don't wait until it's too late. Seek help now if you can. See where you are. If you see you've been stuck in this place for more than 2 weeks, it's time to talk to somebody. Seek help now.
Thank you so much for that session. Thank you so much to also the participants who made it possible. Once again, we apologize for the late beginning of the session. And we've also had some of you who also asked that we can do this a bit more often. So hopefully we'll plan another session next time where we can also engage on the same topics. Wandia, thank you so much for your time. And of course, thank you to our sign language interpreters, Yula and Victor. And hopefully we'll be able to engage with you further. See you next time.
Thank you.